Government has been criticised for its resistance to adopting the Climate Justice Charter. That's despite the impact of climate change being experienced across the world. The Climate Justice Charter movement this week hosted its second assembly to give a progress update. For more on the implications of the delay in adopting the charter, we're joined by Charles Simane, researcher at the Cooperative and Policy Alternative Centre. Charles, very good evening to you. Why is government so reluctant to take this on?
Thank you so much for having me on this evening. The reluctance of the government stems from the fact that the government has failed to walk the talk on climate change. If you look at the policies of the government, even if you look at our nationally determined contribution, they fall flat on what is necessary and needed to deal with the climate crisis. So we submitted the Climate Justice Charter to Parliament last year, asking Parliament to use Section 234 of the Constitution and to adopt the Climate Justice Charter. Now, the Climate Justice Charter is not some technocratic document developed by a scientist somewhere. It's born from tacit knowledge, from the lived experiences of people on the ground. It's a coming together of rural women, a coming together of civil society institutions, a coming together of labor movements, youth movements, to build a systemic change from below with tacit knowledge and lived experiences of the people on the ground on how we can move towards a deep and just transition. That is what the Climate Justice Charter espouses, and that is what it stands for.
I mean, we were just talking to somebody about the impact of climate change on apes in Africa. By 2015, they'll probably lose about 90% of their habitat. So we get it. People on the ground certainly get it. What are you going to do to make government change its mind?
Well, the first thing that government should do is to respect the Constitution, because Parliament has a constitutional obligation to respect charters that are submitted by civil society, as per Section 234 of the Constitution. So the fact that Parliament has ignored the Climate Justice Charter shows that Parliament is not respectful of its constitutional obligations to respect civil society organizations. So what we are doing, we are continuing to build a mass-based movement that is climate conscious, that understands the situation on the ground. I mean, in Southern Africa, our region is warming at twice the global average. South Africa, as a developing country, does not have the infrastructure or the capacity to mitigate the climate crisis. So we need to move away from the destructive and ecocidal path that our government is taking. And that is what the Climate Justice Charter espouses. How to deal with our water crisis. Those principles are dealt with in the Climate Justice Charter. How we fix the broken food system that has left millions of South Africans without food. The Climate Justice Charter, which stands for food sovereignty, which supports small-scale farmers, which, according to research, feed 70% of the human population. I mean, if you look at it in a South African context, for example, large-scale industrial agriculture has lost 11,000 jobs since between 2007 and 2017. However, small-scale farmers have been driving employment in the farming industry. So the Climate Justice Charter espouses a democratic food system based on supporting small-scale farmers, urban farmers, peri-urban farmers, and rural farmers. This is why in the development of the Climate Justice Charter, rural women were involved. Rural women from Namakwe in the Eastern Cape all the way to Lutzville in Cape Town. They are the ones who designed the Climate Justice Charter and took it to Parliament as a solution to deal with the crisis of socio-ecological reproduction that we find ourselves in South Africa.
I mean, it is extraordinary, isn't it, that they haven't taken it up, considering how many jobs it could provide and the fact that people will die because of this lack of action. Tell me what the impact is on South Africa's reputation.
Well, the impact on South Africa's reputation is absolutely horrible. One, because South Africa has submitted a nationally determined contribution. South Africa has submitted a climate change adaptation and mitigation strategy. However, if you look on the ground, those nationally determined contributions are simply tick box approaches that satisfy the UN. But if you look on the ground, the government is going to implement the upstream petroleum resource development bill that is going to decimate and destroy our oceans. The government currently has in the waiting the gas amendment bill that is going to lead to coal-bed methane extraction, that is going to lead to shale extraction emitting more carbon. So we are providing solutions to the government. In fact, we are now transforming the Climate Justice Charter into policies. We have developed a universal basic income grant policy that is fiscally neutral. We put together the leading economists, the leading financial modelers. We developed a UBIC policy. We developed a UBIC scenarios document that outlines how the government can fund a fiscally neutral basic income grant, which does not increase debt on the state, but is based on progressive taxation. So we are in a quagmire and a crisis, not because there are no solutions, but because the government is refusing to listen to civil society. The government is refusing to listen to people on the ground.
It's a shocker, isn't it? I hope you get your way. Charles Simane, we're going to keep on this story for as long as necessary.